So, good evening, everybody. My name's Laura Hunter, and I'm the owner of Drop the Leash Training. And in this video, I want to just go through our program that we have for fearful dogs to let you know how we can help and support them so they can have a better life. So, before I talk about the program, though, I just want to spend a few minutes talking about the causes of fear in dogs because I know a lot of pet owners come to me and they're worried that they did something to cause their dogs to be fearful, and it's almost never that case. So, a lot of fear is genetically caused. Our dog's ancestors, when they lived in the wild, for them, fear was normal. It was actually a survival skill because if you were willing to walk right up to something you'd never met before, it could very well kill you and eat you. So the animals that survived out there were the ones that had that little bit of fear in them. And they, of course, were able to pass it on to the next generation. So fear does get passed on genetically. Even in our domesticated dogs, a fearful mother can certainly produce a litter of fearful puppies. And even if the mother isn't fearful, but she is for some reason stressed by something in the during the pregnancy, she can produce some fearful puppies. So, it's not always genetic. Certainly, our dogs can have learning experiences that create fear. If you take your dog out for a walk one day and they're attacked by another dog while they're on leash, they could very well develop fear of other dogs. Even young puppies in the first few weeks of life, it's a very sensitive period. So, if your puppy suffers even a mild trauma, say they get their toenail caught in a crack in the crate or the floor, that can actually impact how they look on things for the rest of their life. They can develop fear through that. So lots of reasons for fear. The reality is that you will never be able to eliminate it 100%, especially if it has a genetic cause. But that's not to say we can't help our dogs feel better about being in our world. With management training and other supports that we put in this program, we can help you and your dog enjoy the world together, both in your house and out in your community. And I'm not just saying this as a trainer, I'm also saying this as somebody who owns a fearful dog. I do have a fearful dog myself. So let's look at what we do in the program. The first thing we do in the program is we implement some management because management protects the training process, and it also, and maybe more importantly, helps your dog feel safe. So the first priority, I think, really is to help your dog feel safe, and we use social support, which is you. So you're going to help your dog feel safe by not putting them in situations where um, they that do cause fear and stress, by letting them know that in any situation you are going to keep them safe. If it's a bad situation, you're going to get them out of that situation. So it's really important they learn to trust you for that. Also, by respecting and acknowledging their fear. And a lot of fear in dogs seems really illogical to us, but we still have to respect the fact that to them it is real and it feels life threatening. And finally, by respecting their ability to communicate how they're feeling. And I'm talking about the barking, the sometimes the howling, and the body language, lunging, nipping, growling, snarling, all of that. All of those behaviors that frustrate and embarrass us when we're out in the world with our dogs. For our dogs, those behaviors are literally saving them. So if most fearful dogs would prefer just to run away in a situation, but many of them can't because they're constrained on leash. So the only option they have is to try and chase the scary thing away to increase distance. Those are just increase distance increasing behaviors, and they're also telling us how they feel. So we don't want to punish them, we don't want to correct them, we don't want to shut those behaviors down, because if we do, our dog literally can't tell us how they feel about the situation. So it's not going to make them any less fearful, because fear is an emotion. But we don't want them to be afraid to tell us how they're feeling, so we really need to respect that. So, by the time most puppies and dogs get to me, um, they have developed a pretty strong habit of responding that way. And habits are very hard to break. So, we want to prevent those habits from getting even stronger. And we really do this by not putting the dog in those situations where they feel they need to practice those habits. There's a lot of strategies that we can give you for avoiding further rehearsal and practice of those habits, both in the house and out in the community. A couple of examples in the house: instead of having your dog interacting or greeting guests and strangers to the house, what you can do is create a safe space for your dog and teach him that he can go and hang out there. And when he goes and hangs out there, he usually gets really good stuff like bones and bully sticks and things to chew on. And so it's going to be a place that he likes and that is safe. So when you have people come to the house, he doesn't have to interact with them, which is probably, it's stressful enough for us. Interacting with guests is really stressful for our dogs. So he can instead go to a safe space, and he knows that you'll always come along and sort of refill his good stuff to hang out there with. And that's exactly what my dog does in the house. She has a safe space in the kitchen, under the table. Our kitchen is gated. People know that they're not supposed to open the gate and go in the kitchen, and she's real happy about that. And she just hangs out there whenever we have guests. And she's quite happy. She's not stressed or anxious at all about that. Out in the world, management's a little bit more direct. One of our big management tools is what we call a turn and go. So if you and your dog are walking down the street and you see a trigger coming towards you, we're just going to teach the dog that they can spin and head in the 180 degrees in the other direction with you. And most dogs are really quite happy to do that. And once we show them how to do that, some of them even initiate it on their own. So the second thing we do is we teach you how to counter condition your dog. And counter conditioning is a science-based process that has been proven to work. It's a tool that we use to help your dog feel better about things that upset them out in the world. So what we want to do here is we want to change the dog's emotional response from a negative one to a positive one. And that is the whole foundation, really, of working with fearful dogs. It's not about changing behaviors or suppressing behaviors. It's about changing your dog's emotions. And when we start to change their emotional response, the behaviors will change fairly quickly as well. So what we do is we teach them that anything upsetting or scary, any triggers out there, can actually predict really good stuff for them. And so, by really good stuff, some examples is our high value food, for sure. That's pretty much number one. But you can also use that food to engage them in a game with you. So, engagement with you in a fun game with food can be another really high value resource for them. Even just as I said, the turn and go and getting distance and relief, that is also a reinforcer. So we want them to understand that presence, the appearance of a trigger can predict any number of good things, even toys. Although we don't use a lot of toys in this program because it tends to wind them up, but lots of good stuff. And then they start to think, oh, okay, well, I just saw that dog over there. I usually flip out about that dog, but wait, last several times I got really good chicken. I got to play a pattern game with Laura. So maybe I'm okay with that dog. And I know that that process has certainly worked for my dog over the years. So I know it works. So counter conditioning goes hand in hand with what we call desensitization. And desensitization is about working with your dog at a distance from the scary thing, from the trigger, at which your dog can be okay. We actually take that a little bit further in our program, in that when we start teaching you, when we teach you the activities that you're going to be using, you're not going to play them around any triggers at all. You're going to start in your house, and then eventually you're going to take them out in the world, but again, not around any sort of triggers, any sort of scary stuff. You're going to practice on in neutral environments, on neutral things that you see. And that is a really, really important principle of this program, is that we prepare the dog for the situation. We don't try and teach them in the situation, because they would fail. They would all go over threshold and fail. And the other principle is that we always work at the level at which the dog can be successful. So we start off with those neutral situations, and then when you and your dog are feeling confident, we move on to controlled setups, so that we can have control of the trigger, so we can make it less intense and at more of a distance. So again, the dog can be successful. And then we work up to eventually real life. It's a long process, but it does work. So the next thing we're going to do is the fun part of the program, is we're going to teach your dog pattern games. And pattern games are simple, repetitive games that we use to help our dogs engage with us. Dogs love patterns. They love the predictability of patterns. They really rely on that predictability. They increase the dog's sense of safety, and they have a calming and de stressing effect, which you really need in the situation. But most importantly, the games provide a really powerful and positive way for your dog to process those environmental triggers. So I know with my dog, we just started playing the games again after a long break, but if she sees a dog, and then certainly a dog is her trigger, we're able to do a turn and go. The second we do the turn and go, the other day, we fell into the 1 2 3 game. And the 1 2 3 game is a really simple pattern. My dog looks at me, we walk 3 steps, I feed her, and we repeat it over and over again. So she was able to turn away from the trigger and immediately calm down to play that 1 2 3 game. And I could literally see her thinking, okay, I know the dog is there, but I don't have to worry about the dog, because I can depend on the predictability of this game. I just have to keep playing the game and stay calm while I process the dog. And pattern games are completely magical for our dogs. They really, really are effective. So next, I am going to give you some decompression activities that you can use for your dog to lower your dog's stress levels. So I'm sure that every fearful dog out there in the world is stressed at least at some point. Many of our dogs are stressed on a daily basis. And it really depends on how many triggers. If your dog's running into things that upset them on a daily basis, if they're running into multiple things a day, then their stress levels are at the very least chronic. At the worst, they can be toxic. And stress can really influence your dog's life. It prevents them from regulating their emotions. It disrupts their ability to think cognitively in situations. It can it can lead to health issues psychologically, and health issues physically, and it really can put a big dent in your dog's quality of life. So if your dog, encounters these situations, the first thing we want to do when their dog comes home is we want to bring their stress levels back down to baseline as much as possible. So they're just simple activities, really easy to build into your day for 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. Every dog is different. For some, they need relaxing activities. Others might need some active physical games. Relaxing activities could be just learning to relax on a mat, scatter feeding, eating their dinner out of a snuffle mat. Scent work is amazing for de-stressing dogs. For my dog, the big thing is walking in the forest, which of all of the activities probably takes more time for most people. But even if you can get your dog out to the forest once or twice a week, it really does calm these dogs down and bring their stress levels down. So, bringing their stress levels down is just as important as the pattern game, using the pattern games out in the world. And the pattern games are also a way of bringing your dog's stress level down too. You don't just play them out there in the presence of triggers. You can play those pattern games anytime with your dog. All right, so we're going to look at body language also. I'm pretty sure that most of you who have fearful dogs probably have a pretty good handle on your dog's body language. You know when they're upset, you know when they're over threshold, you know when they've seen a trigger and they're stressed. Sometimes, though, there's really subtle signs that we can miss. And if you can pick up on those small, subtle signs, you're able to jump into the situation much more quickly, which will reduce the drama, the reactivity, and maybe get your dog out of the situation more successfully. And lastly, what we're going to do in this program as well, this is a new feature I'm bringing in, but I think it's super important. We are going to try to track and record your dog's progress as they go through the program. And honestly, I think this one's more for the humans than the dogs, because working with a fearful or anxious dog is a long haul. And I'm speaking from personal experience. It's not a smooth process. There's lots of bumps, there's lots of setbacks along the way. It's really easy to get discouraged, and it's really easy to forget the good moments. So that's why we track the progress and celebrate any successes that we see along the way, no matter how small they are. Sometimes progress is really slow, and very gradual, and we don't even recognize it. So it's easy to get discouraged. But if you can look back through the records and look at what you were doing a month before that and see a difference, that's positively reinforcing for us as well. So we don't want to lose sight of that progress and that success. So I think that's really important for the clients. So those are all the principles and the methods we use in the program. There is the format itself. There are, of course, private lessons, one-on-one with me, either at your place or at my facility. It depends on what we're doing and where it would work best. We have everything that I give you, all the activities I give you are on video as well. So when I'm not with you and you're not sure, you've got the videos to check on. But even without the videos, you also have access to me. So you can drop me, I'm not good at answering my phone, but you can drop me a text, send me an email, send me a message through the website and just say, I need help. I'm not sure. I'm a little discouraged. I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing. And I will get back to you that day if I possibly can. I'm usually pretty good at getting back to people the same day. We just have trouble on the weekends because we teach all weekend. So text, email, just get hold of me. And there will be a lot of supplementary videos as well. All of the decompression activities, I'll have videos for that. I'll have videos with tips how to get out of those situations when you find yourself in difficult situations. We know a lot about that, happens a lot. Lots of information on stress, lots of information on management. Well, there's a lot of private, there's also a lot of videos to supplement. So if any of you are interested, and you just want to ask me questions about the program, or you would like to have more information about how this program would work for your dog, please just send me a contact through our website, or if you're in our management program. I think you all are actually, because you sent in. Most of you have sent in intake forms. Just send me a message and say you want to set up a time, and I would be more than happy to talk to you about your dog specifically, and what we would do, because every dog is different. This We don't run this program as a package deal, because all of the dogs are different. So we set the program up individually for each dog. So please don't hesitate to reach out, and be happy to talk to you. So thank you for listening today. I hope that the information was good and clear. Thank you very much, and everybody have a good evening. Take care.